Thank you, Winston. And good morning, everyone, and welcome to the first panel today of Day 2 of the InfoSecurity Summit 2021. I'm very excited and honoured today to be moderating this panel of female cybersecurity experts, particularly as we've just celebrated International Women's Day this week. So it's great to bring together such a wonderful group of women. So the timing is really perfect today, and our topic is women in security, and we're going to explore some great themes. So I'd like to thank the organisers for bringing us all together for today's panel. My name is Anna Gamvros, and I'm a partner of the law firm Norton Rose Fulbright, and I head the Asia Data Protection, Privacy and Cybersecurity Group. In my legal practice, I work with a lot of privacy and cybersecurity professionals. And it's a really interesting observation that I make when working with these professionals about the representation of women in both fields. When I'm working with privacy professionals, in fact, there's really quite equal representation of women. And the IAPP, which is the International Association of Privacy Professionals, has done some studies of representation of senior privacy professionals and have found that it's equal in both terms of representation and pay. So we do see a lot of senior women privacy leads and chief privacy officers and people in senior privacy compliance roles. However, I find that when I'm working with cybersecurity professionals, the representation is really quite different. We do see this as being a much more male-dominated environment, and I see much less of women in senior roles. And this is both on the in-house and the vendor side. So today we want to explore perhaps why that is, and looking at why there is an underrepresentation of women in cybersecurity. We also want to look at some of the challenges for women and also celebrate some of the successes that women have seen in cybersecurity, and particularly the women that I have here on the stage and on screen with us. So we will start by by talking to each of the panelists, looking at their own journey, their own careers, and I think this will really give. I'm hoping that this will give you some food for thought, so that for you to think about not only when you're looking at women and having women in senior roles in your organisation, but also when you're mentoring young cybersecurity talent, both men and women, to look at how we can promote equal representation in the cybersecurity industry. So with that, I'd like to move on to talk to each of the panelists. We've got Anett MÁDI-NÁTOR, Kana Shinoda, both on screen, and on stage here with me I have Joyce Ngo and Carol Lee. And I'd like each of them to introduce themselves and their career. Anett, can I start with you?
Yes, thank you, Anna. I am joining this wonderful event from Hungary, and it's 2 o'clock in the morning where I am. So good morning, everyone. And just as I mentioned, thank you for this brilliant opportunity. It's actually an honor and a very positive thing that I can talk about how I got to the situation, the professional situation where I am now. I started my working career approximately 20 years ago. And the first thing I believe should be mentioned and emphasized is that I do not have a STEM education background. My background is quite different by origin, let's say, or by education. I am a historian and I am an expert in linguistics, historical comparative linguistics. Being a historian is very close to political science, and I'm mentioning this because many cybersecurity experts, especially ladies who are in senior position now, have the political science as background, as educational background. And when I started working, I started working with the military. I participated in trainings, in special trainings that enabled troops to get into mission-related positions and NATO-related positions. But then, after a couple of years, I diverted to IT. And I also have to mention that it wasn't a purposeful choice. That was actually completely by accident. I started collaborating with a then very significant Hungarian IT security service provider, and they sort of hired me solely for communication purposes. But the whole atmosphere that I experienced at that company actually caught me. It was really, really interesting and also inspiring. So I started working mostly in project management field internationally, and I have to say that this is how the whole thing started. And 15 years fast forward, we are here now today in 2021. And I have to say that having a so unpurposeful but still established career change opportunity was worth it, well worth the effort. Meanwhile, anyway, there are some milestones that I really need to mention. And I also have to say at this point that running or managing a successful career as a lady in cybersecurity or as a woman in cybersecurity usually means that the woman should not be alone. I am saying this because I feel I am very lucky. I was always supported, and I have always been supported by significant men colleagues who always supported my career steps and my responsibility taking approach, I'd say. Two brilliant examples. In 2021, when the Hungarian government actually decided to establish the National Security Authority-based Cyber Defense Management Authority, with my male colleagues and some other young professionals, young ladies, we got the chance to actually start doing it. So we were a team, a complete team, starting the Cyber Defense Management Authority, and there I took a sort of sub-leading role already. And soon I got the primary representative role of this particular government unit to EU and NATO in information assurance and cyber defense matters. And so it's a linear path that within 1.5 years I got the position of the lead of the NATO cyber defense capability team. Because I was supported by my own team, by my own leaders, and actually by my own government. So running such a career, I believe, is never a one-man show. There is always needs to be some supporters behind, some significant and strong supporters behind. From another perspective, cybersecurity in general is not a thing that can be done alone. It's always a team effort. Just think about those technical issues that need to be solved. Think about those client management issues that need to be solved, and so on and so forth. And the same thing went on when we decided to continue our career paths in the private sphere, where I am now. Me taking the role of being responsible for international business development and strategic business development and such decision-making processes at the company where I am now is also possible because I have some significant male colleagues supporting me. Also, it's a joy for me to say that at this company where I am now, we have actually, I guess, like approximately 40% women working together with us. So we are trying to improve the statistics with this, and I believe we are very successful with it.
Great, thank you, Annette, and thank you again for the late or early hour, I should say, that you're up to participate in our panel. Next, I'll turn to Kana. Kana is in Tokyo, and Kana, we'd love to hear about your journey, which is also a fascinating one.
Okay, can you hear me?
We can.
Okay. Hi, I'm Kana. All right. I have my own company named Blue, and based in Tokyo, and a founder of Cold Brew, a hacker conference in Tokyo. How I get to this position? Okay, I used to be an engineer and a researcher in the security field. Actually, the system engineer, and then also I was chasing the crypto things long time ago. And somehow I started to work for Black Hat as a Japan operation. Black Hat is the all starting point for me to work for the hacker communities. And since I started to work for the Black Hat and working with a community, but I didn't know Japanese community, hacker community was gone. So looking for the new community in Japan, it took me years. But I found a drinking party after Black Hat Japan. So the hackers and then people are gathering together and exchanging the informations. I asked the leader of that group to hold an international conference like DEF CON. And I know how to run the international conference since from my experiences. And I promised him to support to make it happen. And he's a male, so male leader should do it to run it, and then I will support from the backside. And that's how every Tokyo conference found. And every Tokyo was very held in the dance club, in Shibuya, the trance music, and slogan was no drink, no hack, just having fun and exchanging information, making friends. Started in 2008. And the same year, Black Hat is gone after financial crisis, Lehman things. So that every Tokyo was only one hacker event after Black Hat Japan left. In same year, 2008, I started to help US NPO, APWG, Cybercrime Fighters Associations. And the conference name was the E-Crime Operations Summit. And I started to work for them, and then as an Asian liaison and a conference manager. So APWG took me to they had events globally, so that I traveled a lot. And through APWG events, I became to know lots of cybercrime fighters all over the world, such as CERT people, law enforcement, in addition to the hacker friends like I had. And so Japanese and Asian people asked me to hold a Black Hat or something similar events in Asia again. So I looked for the male hacker who is suitable to be a founder of a new conference. It took me years again, but one day when I was asking to be a male, founder, and then about a new conference, and this guy told me, "Why not you? You are the most passionate, so gender doesn't matter. A most passionate person should do it. I will support you if you do." This was helped me to move on to the next level. I never thought to be a male, me as a founder. Me as a supporter, I know, but me as a founder. I'm a female. There's no female founder of the hacker conference in the world. I never see, and I asked around, but there's no one. Founder is a great magnet of the hacker conference. So how can I be? But many years passed already since I started to look for the male founder, so that I finally decided to be a founder of the hacker conference. And that was a Cold Brew, and first Cold Brew was in 2014. So it was actually 8 years after the last Black Hat Japan. So I created the review board with the hackers. That was a magnet of the conference. And I told them that I took all the risk if something happened. So no blame goes to them, to me, just to me. That was my determination. So that was how Code Rule started. And since I know law enforcement people, SWAT people, and hacker people, I mixed all of them at the conference. So then, yeah, this is it.
This is it. I mean, that's a wonderful story. Thank you. That's great. Thank you, Kana. I think it's a great journey and a really interesting. You know, the sort of not only the obstacles that you overcome, probably yourself in many respects, but you know the fact that you know you've had supporters who you know really pushed you, and you know that's a great part of your story as well. I'd like to turn now to our on-stage guests. Joyce, we'd love to hear about your story and you know and your journey as a woman in cyber.
Yeah, thank you. I'm Joyce Ngo, and I'm so fortunate to meet my first mentor in the field. That was back in 2001, so it's a long journey. Just bear with me. So I started working as a security analyst, and then I self-learning on the way, and I take up different role from both the vendor side and also the user side. That gives me a wide spectrum of understanding of the information and cybersecurity. Then I take up in my career, the most challenging job is being the head of the risk and cybersecurity, safeguarding the airport. So I realized that actually it's the cybersecurity is the essential of almost every business. It would be a safety hazard if you don't do the cybersecurity right. So it was a great job and much responsibility. And every year, actually, I interview many young people, both male and female. And then I realized that actually the female students, when they come over for interview for a management trainee or IT trainee, then they are equally capable. They are as good as the male academically and also at work. I realized that at the interview, they do presentation as well. So I would say actually cybersecurity is a very challenging, interesting career that everyone should consider. If you're a young female, no matter you're from business, engineering, science, you're welcome to try. Just give it a try. It's the passion that can tell whether you are capable or not. It's the dedication on the way that keeps you on the journey. So I understand that it's the journey is not linear for everyone. So sometimes you will see drawback. You see the effort that you put in didn't show up, but you just hang on there. Try to make friends. Voice out your problem. Get some help. In my last 20 years, I make friends. And then I learned from the business partner, we form a community that supports each other. So when you are having some issue, you just share with them. There must be a solution for every problem. So likewise, in cybersecurity, there is nothing that cannot be solved. I really like what Hannah said about the hacker community, because they identify problem. And then my experience in the in-house, we try to solve it. We try to recover fast so that the business can back on its own. It's an interesting welcome to cybersecurity. Everyone should give it a try.
Great, thank you. That's great insights. Thank you, Joyce. Carol, last but not least, please tell us about yourself and your journey.
Okay, I'm Carol Lee, the Program Director of ISACA China Hong Kong chapter. I'm also the head of cybersecurity in a listed company. And in fact, my background might be a little bit different from most of the security professionals. I start my career from programming and business consultancy stream. So that's also shaped a little bit my philosophy to leverage change management in security program and also encourage diversity of thinking in my people mix. And in my career path, in fact, there's two major kind of like turning point that happened that I think is interesting to share today. One of those is how I changed from general IT manager with Unix admin responsibility to information security manager. And in fact, at that time, that is the CIO offering me to this opportunity to change my responsibility. But in fact, this is not, honestly, it's not a gift from the heaven. It's part of my personal upskilling plan to prepare myself. And the CIOs look back my CV and looked at that I have been taking some part-time university diploma on information security. And bingo, that this is exactly the person that he needs to form a new cybersecurity team. And that's how we rotate myself into that position. That's how I joined into a security industry. And another major turning point to myself is I suspend my career and then to be a full-time mom for 2 years. And of course, that is going to be challenging to resume back to work. I guess most of the people should understand this. But this is also part of my personal belief is as well as a workaholic. I definitely know that I won't able to dedicate enough time to my newborn if I am still working. So it got through like part of the tough time to get back to work, but I guess part of the major part is make it planning smoothly. You make it plan how you plan to come back to work, and this is the most key part that I think is worth for people that's really having similar situation as my family need to stop working and then get back to work. And I guess this is the part that we can share more in the later on the discussion as well.
Yeah, definitely. Well, actually, I would like to pick up on that now, if I may, because I think the whole point or the whole issue around reinventing yourself, taking a break, returning to work. You know, how do you manage those things, particularly in a fast-moving environment like cybersecurity? How do you first of all reinvent yourself, or what did you find was the most challenging part of doing so? And secondly, when you did take a break, I think you said for a couple of years, to be a full-time mum, that's an eternity in cybersecurity. So how do you keep yourself up to date, or how do you bring yourself back up to speed when you do come back to work?
Yeah, and in fact, in my plan, when I planning to quit the job, and I already plan to kind of 2 years time when my kids come back to kindergarten, then I let him go, and that's I can return to work. And this is already in my plan, and that's why that's helped me to shape mentally that when I get back to work, I won't able to get the same job level as I did before. I guess this is one part of the mentality education that I have to deal with myself first. Another part is when I try to find job, I try to find contract position. That helped me to get back into the working mode. And especially for 2 years time out of working. And honestly, in fact, this is turning to be a 24 hours full-time moms to a 8 to 10 hours working hours job is not quite the most challenging piece to me. The more challenging part is how I can show my passion to work, and how I am able to be a competent and qualified security professional that can help to deliver value to the company. It is the key part that when I try to find my jobs. So one of the recommendation that I can share to the to the people that who are similar situation is you can try to attain or getting accredited certification that's in the area that with the largest talent gap. Like, for example, what I did sometimes will do is I try to certify on data privacy, or even though like in ISACA, we did have different learning paths for people in IT risk, governance, and also information security. And even though we have the latest one like on data privacy and also cloud audit as well. So this is all the gap that with the shortage of cyber talent nowadays in the market. So that's helped to fit into the market, and that's helped you to get into the job as well. I guess this is the one part that I think that is I find most useful. And that's also when you're trying to get to the job, need to be patient, because it needs times for you to get back into the working mode, and not to think about the kids at home and concentrate on the work, and you can balance the work-life balance, and that's help you a little bit when you are getting into the better shape.
Yeah, great, thank you. I mean, I having to retrain and train yourself really resonates with me. You know, it's the same kind of environment as a lawyer. We're presented with new technology issues, cybersecurity issues, and that's not our natural background as lawyers. You know, we don't have a kind of a STEM background, so we have to, you know, we have to adapt to that. And I think that's a really interesting area, and it's something that you brought up, Anett, earlier, is around you not having a STEM background. And I think, you know, I'm interested in your thoughts on, you know, whether you think a tech or a STEM background is really necessary to have senior roles in the cyberspace.
It's good, but it's not essential, I believe. And it's good to the level. To have a STEM background is let's say, advantageous to the level that you actually understand what those people talk to you about who work on operational levels or really deep technical levels. But as I said, it's not the key factor of your success. The key factor is, I mean, there are some which I can also identify. And some of these were already mentioned, you know, by the panelists, that you need to be dedicated very much. You need to be brave. I think it's extremely important that you need to be brave. If you feel the passion in yourself, and if you are interested in the professional area, you just need to take a deep breath and move on towards the goal you have set in your mind. And what I also wanted to mention is that it's like, it quite resonates with this year's developments also in Hong Kong, that building a community and getting in touch with those ladies who are in a similar position when they break their career paths because of having children, establishing a family, or because of just what the COVID brings around. So some positions are getting suspended and so on and so forth. There needs to be a community to which they can turn to, and which may support their re-establishment in their career paths. So this is one more topic I would definitely like to take within this panel.
Great, thank you. And speaking of communities, I just want to switch gears a little bit, because one of the things that we've talked about in the past, Kana, is your experiences with the hacker communities. And you know, and one of the things that I was very interested in was your thoughts about how you come across, obviously, all male hacker communities and female hacker communities, and how they differ. Could you share some of your experiences there?
Yes. Yeah, there are female communities in security industry in Japan and South Korea and Taiwan in Asia, and some are in India too. But to see the contrast between male and the female communities, SecCon in Japan with a good example, I think. Yeah. SecCon is a CTF-oriented conference in Japan. It's actually not only in the conference, but CTF. They do a lot of CTFs in the small size and the bigger size. It is started to cultivate CTF players more in Japan. Besides the domestic international CTF, we created two groups for CTF beginners. One is a CTF for beginners that is operated by male students. And the other one is CTF for girls, operated by female students and engineers. So these two are different. One of the big differences I see between these two is the execution of workshops and the CTF project. This is just a tendencies, you know, it goes to not everyone, all right? Everyone is different, but I see the big difference these two is that women's groups tended to get things done in time by deadline, and while male groups are often overdue and tended to get things done in the last 12 minutes, but they do anyway. And there are also the differences in teaching methods. Women are very serious, explain very easy way to understand for the beginner level to the audience. They care about the audience, you know, they understand. And then the men are also trying to match the level of the audience, but there are some good at teaching, but the level is still high. And although, yeah, those two are different. And then also the, how do you say? The purpose of the group is different. You know, CTF for beginners, that by male, is, you know, the educations. So it's a little bit different. While the woman, female CTF for girls is increasing the female hackers. So it's a little bit different. So they, women is more like get people inside the community. So they try, that's why they care about, you know, everyone is how they feel, something like that. Those two are different, but you know, especially the keeping the deadline is totally different.
That's really interesting insight, and you know, interesting to see how different skill sets can be then utilised in this industry. Joyce, I just wanted to ask you. You like me have a young family as well, and you know, and just interested in you know, hearing about, you know, kind of the challenges and the experiences and the benefits that you've had, you know, as being a mother and in the cybersecurity industry.
Well, a mother, it's required us to be very multitasking. We are a good programmer because we have to jiggle between all the big and small activities at home while I was online. At this meantime, I don't stop learning. So I find the self-learning very flexible. I can just go online when enroll in some class while they was in bed. So and also as a mom, I realized that it's give me an initiative to move the thing onto the cloud. So I observe that there's a new norm of learning. While they are having the Zoom exam, they have a new style of measurement, the assessment. So I realized that being a mom led me to look at different aspects of cybersecurity, not just from business, but also to how to improve, how to introduce the technology, to secure the technology when it's being introduced to the daily life.
And do you think that in terms of career and being a mother at the same time, is a cyber career an easy one, or do you think it's a particularly difficult one? Because obviously it's a all-encompassing job that can call you at any time of the day or night. Well,
it's not an easy task to be one of the cybersecurity professional, as all of us here would know, because there are so many aspects of cybersecurity. Different role if you're in the vendor side or if you're working in the user side, different role and different responsibility when you are taking up higher senior level, that requires you not just the technical, but also the storytelling, the negotiation power, the way that you're coordinating, because it's might be a very large-scale organization that you are heading the team. So I would say it's a challenging job, and it requires so many soft skills as well when you are climbing up to the senior level. It's challenging. I like it. And being a full-time mom, I just keep on reconnecting. I use this time to give out free advice to those that are still in the community. That keeps me on. Because I think like like in the ICT industry, some experience in the 3 years ago might not work nowadays. We just need a new form of ever-growing mindset. We should be very adaptive, quick learning, get up skills to handle nowadays like COVID pandemic era, but also it applies the same onto the cybersecurity. So I would say being innovative as much as taking care of the kids at home would be as challenging as taking up as like what my last role was the head of the team.
Great, thank you. Annette, I just wanted to talk a little, because it's such a great initiative that you're running and so relevant, particularly for these women on the stage as well as many who are listening in, is about the Women for Cyber initiative that you are so heavily involved in. Can you tell us about that and also how it's helped and helping develop women in cybersecurity?
Yes, thank you for this question. Actually, I was waiting for this opportunity so that I could introduce this initiative in Hong Kong as well. This initiative and the foundation backing it and running it was actually established with a very strong political support in Europe. It's in collaboration of the European Cybersecurity Organization and the European Commission. So we are in an ideal situation that we have a very strong political and societal support background. On the other hand, the original motivation was setting up this initiative is somehow to help or to assist bridging the gap of the job market that actually lacks those very talented young and more senior cybersecurity ladies who could be involved in fulfilling these jobs and meeting these necessities. On the other hand, we wanted to provide a good hand, a solid helping hand to those who need assistance in building up their career paths. So it's a kind of double goal that we wanted to fulfill. And so the foundation is basically set up to promote, encourage, and support the participation of women in the field of cybersecurity in general. We have, back in Europe, let's say, we have 6 main activity areas like spreading awareness, running female role model campaigns, doing tailored training programs for ladies, enabling them to get the certificates that they need to build their own careers and to fulfill their job duties. Also to get in contact with the national policymakers to formulate on very high strategic level the legal and also the societal and professional environment to enable ladies join the cybersecurity area. And we also want to grow this community really that large so that it could be really impactful. In Europe, by now, we have 19 national chapters. So by now, we already cover the majority of Europe and almost the full of the European Union. So funnily, we started calling ourselves a unicorn foundation because we reached this status, this kind of coverage and this kind of growth in 2.5 years. And so we believe that it's time to introduce this concept in the Far East as well. And we believe that setting up the first non-European chapter or perhaps a regional chapter has its ideal place in Hong Kong. So this is also this summit and this panel is a brilliant opportunity for me to spoiler this, actually, to give you teasers that this year we hopefully can come up with something that is already visible, tangible, and something that is up and running. Obviously, what needs to be taken into consideration, and this is why I'm really much interested in establishing the Hong Kong chapter. And I want to be there, perhaps from remote because of the COVID situation, but I really want to follow this, is because one of the most important aims of this foundation and the initiative is to help locally with those programs and sub-initiatives or roadmap items that are able to help local communities in the most practical way. So this will be an interesting journey, and I'm also taking the opportunity to invite you, the panelists, to participate in it, especially because your career paths and your representation and your activities in the local cybersecurity scheme, I believe, is extremely valuable.
Great. Well, you heard it first here on the Women in Security panel. Thank you for sharing that, Annette. That's very exciting, and I'm sure those of us on the panel are, very excited about this initiative, and I think there'll be many others who are very, keen to hear more about the initiative and also to participate. So thank you so much for sharing that with us. We're coming towards the end of our panel, and I think it was a question that I posed to the panelists that I thought was quite interesting. Looking back before you started your career to maybe what was your 15-year-old self. If you could look back and you could give your 15-year-old self a piece of advice, that would have helped you. Obviously everyone on this panel is very successful, but what would have helped you more in your career? For me, if I can start, even though we're talking about STEM is not necessary, for me, had I have known I would end up as a cybersecurity lawyer, to have done more in the technology and security space in my studies, would have given me a great technical basis, because obviously that's where we're helping my clients would make my job even better. If I could assist them with or understand them more in their technical space. So for me, I wish that I had diversified my studies beyond just law into also a technical background. Carol, what would you advise your 15-year-old self if you could go back and give a piece of advice?
15 years old is a long time ago. I think I would definitely give myself an advice not to suffer from the imposter syndrome, that girls cannot shine, and scholarship always go to boys. And particularly really going forward to learn and also able to grow myself and step forward. That's really taking a trophy in my own life. That is important to ourselves, not really kind of really need to be showing to other people. So really make my life meaningful to myself as well.
That's a brilliant piece of advice. Thank you, Carol. Joyce?
If I can be a mentor of my younger self, myself, I would be voice out. Just try whatever opportunities that is come on hand, and make some friends with the ladies as well in the industry. Talk to them whenever you have some problem, and it's just not a straight line. Now I know that the journey is not linear. It's not a straight line. You just have to be easy on yourself when you see problem. Find some help and voice out.
Great piece of advice. Kana, what is your advice to yourself?
Yes. Yes. All right. I talk to myself. All right. When you're 15, school gives you the chance to study abroad as an exchange student. But your family is poor, your parents cannot support you for studying abroad and even going to university also. So you will give up everything on your life when you're 15. But after years, you realize your life is yours. It is all up to you. You study abroad later all by yourself. It will be the door for your next level, next world.
Great.
So taste every moment of your life. All experiences, even bitter one, gives your life colorful. So enjoy your life.
Thank you, Kana. And Anett, we're out of time. Can you give us your 5-second advice to yourself, and then I'm going to wrap up the panel.
Yes, I wanted to give like 2, but I will give only 1. Don't make compromises, just balance. That's it.
Thank
And
you.
you will make it.
That is all wonderful piece of advice. I hope that you've enjoyed our panel today. Thank you all for joining me and the panelists, and thank you to the organizers for bringing us together. Thank you very much.
Thank you.